On 8th August 1588, in the waters of Gravelines near the English Channel, the Spanish Armada faced the turning point of its campaign. The battle still matters because it reshaped sea power, empire, and the balance of Europe. The conflict grew from religion, dynastic rivalry, and control of the Atlantic world. By the late 1580s, England and Spain were already testing each other through raids, privateering, and uneasy diplomacy. England feared invasion and Catholic restoration. Spain feared English interference in the Netherlands and attacks on its shipping. Both crowns believed time was running out to settle the struggle on favorable terms. The Armada was not a single battle fleet, but a vast convoy of warships, supply vessels, and transports. Its purpose was to escort an invasion force and link up with allies on land. Spain's commanders carried the burden of royal expectation and a difficult plan. England's leaders had fewer ships, but they were lighter, more maneuverable, and fighting close to home waters. Leadership mattered as much as tonnage. On both sides, commanders had to manage weather, discipline, supply, and fear, while making decisions that could not be easily reversed. The Armada's crews included sailors, soldiers, and gunners, many of them experienced but stretched by long preparation and limited provisions. Morale depended on faith, duty, and the hope of a swift crossing. English ships carried fewer men, but were built for faster handling and longer gunnery exchanges. Their captains expected to keep distance, harass the enemy, and avoid being trapped at close quarters. The route north from Spain was already a test of endurance. The Armada had to survive Atlantic storms, repair damage, and keep formation while moving toward the Channel and the North Sea. By the time the fleet reached the Channel, every delay had narrowed its options. The English shadowed it from a distance, waiting for a moment when wind and position might break the Spanish plan. The battlefield was not a single marked place, but a moving corridor of sea between coastlines, currents, and shifting winds. Gravelines offered risk because shallow water and changing tides limited maneuver. Weather was a commander in its own right. Wind could open a formation, carry smoke away, or push ships into dangerous ground where anchors, currents, and sandbanks became decisive. The Spanish approach relied on protecting the fleet and preserving the invasion force. The English approach relied on disruption, keeping the Armada moving, off balance, and unable to choose the fight. That difference shaped every exchange. Spain sought order and cohesion. England sought pressure, firepower, and room to maneuver. The sea rewarded the side that could stay adaptable longer. In the opening phase, both fleets exchanged fire while trying to hold position. The scene was less a single charge than a series of careful advances, turns, and cannon volleys. Gunnery mattered, but so did control. A ship that lost order could be forced toward shoals or separated from support, and that danger loomed over the Armada as the fighting intensified. The pressure point came when the Spanish line was driven into a less secure position near the coast. English ships pressed the advantage, forcing the Armada to react instead of dictate terms. At that moment, the battle became a test of nerve and seamanship. The fleet that could keep its shape in wind and smoke would gain the upper hand, even without a decisive boarding action. The decisive movement was not a dramatic single strike, but the cumulative effect of English pressure and Spanish difficulty in restoring order. The Armada's formation began to loosen under the strain. As the wind shifted, the Spanish commanders faced a narrowing set of choices. They could not easily regroup for the planned rendezvous, and the sea lane itself became part of the outcome. The breakthrough came in the form of exhaustion, separation, and lost confidence. English ships did not need to destroy the Armada outright. They needed to make its mission impossible. Once the Spanish formation weakened, the strategic meaning of the battle changed. The invasion plan no longer had a clear path, and the fleet's survival became more important than its original objective. After the fighting, the Armada continued north with dwindling options. Harbors, currents, and hostile waters forced it away from the intended route and deeper into uncertainty. The immediate aftermath was not triumph alone, but relief mixed with caution. England had defended its coast, yet the wider war with Spain would continue for years. For Spain, the campaign exposed the limits of planning across long distances and uncertain weather. For England, it strengthened confidence in naval defence and maritime strategy. In the years that followed, naval warfare continued to evolve. Fleets increasingly depended on coordinated gunnery, weather judgment, logistics, and the ability to keep command at sea. The Armada's failure did not end Spanish power, but it damaged the aura of inevitability around it. England, meanwhile, emerged with a stronger sense of itself as a maritime kingdom. Historians still debate how much the outcome depended on weather, tactics, logistics, and prior attrition. The battle was important, but it was also the climax of a longer campaign. Some interpretations emphasize English gunnery and maneuver. Others stress Spanish exhaustion before the battle even began. Most agree that no single factor explains the result on its own. The exact balance between chance and design remains part of the story. That uncertainty is not a weakness in the history. It is one reason the campaign still draws attention. Today, the Channel and North Sea look ordinary at first glance, yet they still carry the memory of movement, risk, and weather-driven decision-making. The landscape has changed less than the world around it. Standing on the shore, it is easier to see how narrow the margin was between plan and failure. The sea remains vast, but the routes between nations can be surprisingly constrained. Museums and memorials preserve the human scale of the campaign, but the wider setting still matters most. This was a contest shaped by coastlines, currents, and the reach of empires. The Armada's story endures because it joins strategy with uncertainty. It shows how weather, supply, and leadership can outweigh even the most ambitious plans. It also reminds us that victory at sea is rarely absolute. The real outcome often lies in whether a fleet can still achieve its purpose after the fighting ends. In 1588, the English Channel became more than a waterway. It became the place where ambition met weather, and where a campaign changed the course of European history.